Well, so this is the thing what we had done last time. That is solution for linearized Poisson-Boltzmann equation. We have, if you remember, what we had done, that we have now linearized Poisson-Boltzmann equation. Okay, and don't worry, I'm going to put it on the website, all these slides, so you can able, if you even if you miss something in between, you can able to cope up with that little later. Okay, so don't worry about that. So we have linearized Poisson-Boltzmann equation, and idea is to get the solution for that differential equation. Is it not? What we have done last time is that we have just used the trial function psi is equal to mu upon r. Okay, and what after doing solving this, what we are after substituting this value into this equation, what we got is very simplified differential equation, which we have already solved last time, or you can, in fact, you can solve in your first year MSc days, like particle in a box problem or the radial function of this hydrogen atom. You have solved already. And solution for such a differential equation, it's generalized solution for such a differential equation is kind of this. Okay, where a and b both are arbitrarily chosen constant. You know that. Okay, but as far our logic goes, our potential is basically, if you see the potential versus radial function r. Okay, this is changing. Okay, it is decreasing with distance radial function. Okay, that we know. If its function is behave like this, okay, the b has to be equal to 0. Okay, otherwise the function will not behave this way. So with this, what we have done, we chosen b is equal to 0. That's why we got psi is equal to a upon r e raised to minus chi r. Okay, so let's evaluate the constant a now here. Okay, now we have to use here boundary conditions. Normally, how would you evaluate such constants? We use the extreme condition. What happens if you put extreme condition in that? Here in this situation, we have extreme condition basically is that our solution is super dilute solution. That means if my one ion is over here, okay, the another ion is 1 kilometer away from that ion. Let us see. So compared to size of the ion, okay, the distance among the ions are very large. So r is very large compared to a. Okay, a is maybe radius of the ion. So in that situation, what you have got, since the inter-ionic separation is very large than that of ionic radii, okay, now ion can be viewed as a point charge. That means I just have just small dot point charge, what we can see of having charge z plus E0. Okay, and then this now this electric field as such dilute solution about the ion, because other ions are going to be far away from that ion, right? So this ion, electric field of this ion is not going to affect electric field of this ion, is it not? So what will happen now? The electric field around this ion, okay, is due to ion itself, is it not? Is due to ion itself, okay, because this ion cannot basically effect cannot put its electric field from here to here, because distance is large. Okay, that means the electrical potential around that isolated ion is nothing but the psi zi E0 epsilon by r that we have seen last time. One more thing will happen. Okay, one more thing is happening here. Okay, in such a hypothetical dilute solution. Okay, since my solution is very dilute, my concentration or density of ion is going to be very small, which can tends to 0. Is it not? If that is so, then my chi square, okay, which is nothing but 4 pi upon epsilon kt, okay, this is has got ni0, which this tends to 0, okay, so my chi also tends to 0. Okay, since my chi tends to 0, my e raised to minus chi r tends to 1. Okay, so at that limit of super dilute condition, okay, my psi will become a by r. Okay, so now I can equate these two equations, this for psi and previous equation. If you equate that, then RR will go. And what I get, the constant A is equal to Zi E0 upon epsilon. Now I can substitute this value, okay, in my previous equation where A is equal to Zi E0 epsilon. This is my going to be my, what we say, electrical potential is changing with radial distance r. See, you can see now the two functions which are almost similar. The first is a reciprocal of r function. Okay, this also will decay. Okay, if you see, this function will decay symmetric. Okay, if you remember, 1 upon r function decays like this, and our exponential function, okay, will decay a little bit like this. So combine these two functions, what we are going to get is something like that, something like this. Okay, combining these two, my psi changing with r, okay, is some function of this kind. Is combination of two functions. One is exponential function, okay, and other one is basically reciprocal function. Both are similar function. Okay. Well, so once I understood what psi here, okay. Now let us focus on, just put off your mobile, just put off your microphone. There's some noise is coming. Okay. So excess charge density, basically we calculated now with psi. Okay. We calculated psi now. Okay. Now we'll go for next, that is excess charge density. Here the idea is basically in my positive reference ion, the ions are, because of this electric field, these oppositely charged ions, basically more oppositely charged ions are compressed, okay, around that reference ion. Okay, so obviously if you see the bulk, the density will be different, okay, than that of in the cloud. Okay, so this is going to be excess charge density. Inside the cloud. Okay, it's called rho. So now, what, for getting the excess charge density, what we have done, we have equated the Poisson equation with linearized Poisson-Boltzmann equation. Okay, so this side is equal, right? So I can equate now this with this. Okay, if I do that, what I get is this kind of equation. So if you rearrange this, what we get actually this kind of equation. That is rho r is equal to minus epsilon 4 pi chi square upon psi r. Already we have calculated psi r, right? Already we have calculated psi r. So just substitute value of psi r from last time. Okay, what you get, I substitute this value of psi r into this equation. What you get, the rho r, the exchange, this is nothing, the epsilon will go. Okay, and exchange density, it turned out to be inside the cloud, it turned out to be Zi E0 upon 4 pi chi square e raised to minus chi r upon r. We have already seen what is chi. Chi is basically the reciprocal, the bivocal reciprocal length, right? Okay, so this is my excess charge density rho r. So how it is changing, again like a potential, this is also changing, it's decreasing inside the cloud, it is decreasing. Okay, exchange charge density versus r you plot, it is decreasing, okay, with radial distance r. Well, so what is the, now let us see the physical significance of chi. Okay, last time we have seen this, okay, but I'll repeat here. This exchange charge density is fading with radial distance. Already you have seen this. It is decreasing with radial distance. Okay. But interesting part here is that if you suppose calculate, if you suppose now this is my reference charge, and there are oppositely charged cloud. Okay. Now, if I choose one such spherical ring, in that cloud of thickness dr, okay, at distance r. Okay, so in that small volume of that shell, number of charge in that small volume of that shell is dq. So the dq, the number of charge in that small shell, is nothing but equal to density into volume. This 4 pi r square by dr is volume of that shell. So density into volume will give you number of charge. So if you do that, if you put the value of rho r into, just we have calculated that into this equation, okay, what you get is dq is equal to zi e0 upon 4 pi chi square 4 pi r square dr. Okay, so if you can just normalize this, and what you get is this equation. This is basically number of charge in that shell having thickness dr at distance r. Now this function has two parts. Now if you see, there's a one function which is r. So this number of charges is increasing with distance r. At the same time, another function is there, e raised to minus chi r. This function is decreasing with distance r. So there are two opposite functions. One function is trying to pull, trying to increase, okay, linearly, that is r function, and another function is trying to decrease exponentially. Okay, so resultant of these two functions, we kind of graph we get is like this: number of charges versus distance. That means at particular high distance r, okay, there's a peak, and if you take the derivative of this particular dq, so that means dq by dr is equal to 0 at this point, okay, so at summit point, which is this distance is called Debye-Hückel reciprocal length. Okay, it's already written here. Okay, because it has dimensions of length inverse, so it is called, chi is basically called Debye-Hückel reciprocal length. So in fact, I will give you after some time this assignment to calculate now, prove that at dq by dr, this point is 1 upon chi. So we can do that. Well, so we'll proceed with that. Now we understood what is physical significance of chi, which is Debye-Hückel reciprocal length. Now, I think last time we had done up to this point. So now we have now proceed with this. Now we have to see how much this ionic cloud contribute in electrostatic potential. If you see our picture again, we have a central reference ion, and around there's a cloud. Okay, so I can hypothetically, or I can notionally think two things now. I can see that this total electric field in the system is equal to this electrical potential due to the reference ion, that is central ion, and an electric field is due to the cloud. Agree? So I have notionally separated two things now. Okay, I have reference ions and I have cloud. So if you somehow put off this charge on the cloud, okay, then definitely the electrostatic potential at distance r is only to single charge, which is going to be psi ion. Okay, that is this part. Now total electric field in a system is sum of electric potential due to ion, that is this part, and electrical potential due to cloud, which is this part. Okay, so this is summation of these two things. Okay, so psi cloud, that is contribution in electric field, electric potential from the cloud, nothing but a total electric potential minus from the ion. It's a linear combination of these two things. So if I do that, already I know psi r is equal to this much, and only ion contribute this much. So what I get is psi cloud contribution from the cloud is equal to this equation, that is Zi E0 upon epsilon r e raised to minus chi r minus 1. It's simple algebra actually. You can solve it at home also. Again, I'm going to use this approximation of super dilute solution. In dilute solution, basically, my Ni is equal to very small. Ni is basically number density or concentration. And chi depend upon the Ni is 0. So since my number density is small, my chi is small. Since my chi is small, e raised to minus chi r is e raised to minus chi r minus 1 is approximately equal to minus chi r. That way I'm using the relationship e raised to x. If x is small, I can write 1 plus x. Okay. So if I do that, I get my e raised to minus chi r is approximately equal to this much if my chi is small. So my cloud, psi cloud, that is electric potential due to cloud, is equal to Zi E0 epsilon r into this quantity just you have calculated. Okay, so I can just rearrange this and we get this equation, which is Zi E0 epsilon chi raised to minus 1. This is Debye-Hückel reciprocal length. What this equation tells us? This equation tells us that the contribution of cloud in overall system basically is constant. It doesn't depend on R. You can see this constant. R are constant basically. So cloud basically contribute in the electrical potential with constant value. Okay, that is the main and important conclusion out of this. Okay, and it's independent of the radial distance. Well, so now we have to bridge now about chemical potential, that is chemical terms, and electrical potential, that is physical term. So I'm going to bridge this now, chemical potential and electrical potential. Now if you go back and recall our first lecture, okay, you can see this partial molar free energy, okay, that is chemical potential. You know that in charging this system, okay, is nothing but this is the quantity, okay, that is work done to charge the ions basically, is it not? Work done to charge the ions, okay, otherwise which didn't have any charge. So that is hypothetical thing, which is nothing but equal to this we have seen actually. Go back and see your notes. That is NaZi E0.2 into psi cloud. Now psi cloud already just now we calculated that psi cloud. Okay, so I put this value of psi cloud. What I get, if substitute this value, a partial molar free energy change in charging this cloud or this value, okay, is nothing but equal to Zi E0 upon epsilon chi max. Just now we have calculated this, right? So this quantity is equal to minus Na. What is Na? Na is basically Avogadro's number upon 2 into Zi E0 square upon epsilon chi minus 1. Okay, again you recall basically partial molar free energy, okay, and activity coefficient relationship, okay, already we have derived this part also in very first lecture in ideal solution case. So now I have delta mu I minus I is equal to this and also equal to this. So I can equate now these two equations, okay, and what I get is this, that is RT ln gamma I. Gamma is activity coefficient is equal to minus Na by 2 Zi E0 square upon epsilon chi minus 1, where epsilon is the dielectric constant of the solution, which is nothing but dielectric constant of water, because we have solution dilute solution. So for all practical purpose, we can use the solution epsilon, which is dielectric constant of water. So now I have chi minus. Okay, so I have, this is the relation between the RT ln gamma I and the chi I. Well, so now I got bridge between these two. This is a chemical concept and this is a physical concept. We bridge between these two things now. Now, this also we have seen, or mean activity coefficient for MpXQ salt, okay, is given by gamma plus or minus R plus P plus Q is geometrical mean of these two things. That because we cannot separate out the activity coefficient of individual ions, because we cannot just prepare basically the solution of individual ion. So we have to consider the geometrical mean of these two and we get mean activity coefficient. Okay, this also we have seen this. Well, so if you take log on both the sides, Okay, what I get is this ln gamma plus or minus is 1 upon s will come here, right? So 1 upon s ln gamma plus raised to p into gamma minus raised to q. Okay, or ln, I take ln inside. Okay, so what will happen? Ln gamma plus or minus is equal to 1 upon s. P will come down here. So p ln gamma plus q ln gamma minus. Okay, using previous derivation, just now we have seen RT ln gamma plus is equal to Na upon 2. Just now we have seen this equation. So for cat I is basically kind of species. We have got cation and we have anions. Okay, so we have two species, one cation, another anion. So instead of I have to put now here plus. So this is for cation, that's RT ln gamma plus is equal to just same thing I have written here. Okay, only instead of Zi, I wrote Z plus. Okay, or I took the RT down here. So I'm having now this is equal to ln gamma plus is equal to minus Na E0 square 2 epsilon RT into Z plus square into chi. I just represent this equation for cation. Similarly, I can do the similar treatment for anion and I get this kind of equation. So for ln gamma plus I have this equation and ln gamma minus I have this equation. Okay, substitute this quantity, okay, into this equation now. And what I will get, okay, here I have to substitute this ln gamma plus into this equation and ln gamma minus into this equation. If I do that, what I get is this. What I get is ln gamma plus or minus 1 upon s. I just put the value, right? You can see I substitute value of ln gamma plus and ln gamma minus by these quantities for cation and for anion. And if you simplify it, most of these are common. So what I get is minus 1 upon s, this quantity, upon pz plus qz minus. I put this chi inside now. So I get this generalized equation. Now we have to evaluate this p z plus square plus q z minus square. Okay, so let us see now. The pz plus is equal to pz plus z plus, and pz minus qz minus is equal to qz minus z minus. Agree? So now if you take the solution is as a whole as electrical neutral. Okay, so number of positive ions equal to number of negative ions. So number of positive ions equal to number of negative ions. So if you substitute this into this equation, what I get is this. That means Q, I'm putting Pz plus is equal to Qz minus. So I'm substituting this Pz plus with this Qz minus. Okay. So what I get basically is P plus Q, Z plus Z. Simple algebra is there actually here. You can work it at home. Okay. So P, what is P plus Q? P plus Q nothing but equal to S. So this is S Z plus into Z minus. Okay. So my P Z plus Z minus is equal to S Z plus Z minus. Simply I substitute the value into this above equation, this equation. Okay. Equation number 7. So what I get here is ln gamma plus or minus is nothing but equal to all rest of the things are constant. Only I put S Z plus Z minus. So I can rearrange this equation. Okay, S and S will go. So what I get is this equation. Okay, Na E0 square 2 epsilon RT Z plus Z minus into chi. Ln gamma plus or minus. Okay. Now we have already seen what is chi. Chi is nothing but equal to 4 pi epsilon by kt into summation of this quantity. Okay. Now number density of ions in the bulk we can express in terms of concentration. So I can write Ni0 is equal to Ci Na upon 1000, where Ci basically is concentration. Okay, so what I can do now, the summation term in the equation 1 will become now here. Okay, since this is ni0, I can put this ni0 with this ni0, I get this kind of equation. Already we have learned that ionic strength I is equal to half summation of Ci Zi square. We already done that in your 12th standard. So I just put this to this side, I get 2I summation of Ci Zi square. Okay, and my summation will become, the summation will become 2Na E0 square upon 1000 into I. Now I am substituting this value of summation of this equation, okay, with this value. So I get chi is equal to 4 pi epsilon kt 2Na epsilon E0 square upon 1000 raised to half I raised to half, where I is basically the ionic strength. So we simplify it. Okay, what I get is 8 pi Na E0 square 1000 epsilon kt, okay, into I raised to half. Now I know what is chi. So I can substitute now this chi into this equation now. This chi into this equation. What I am going to get is this. So I putting chi with my equation now. Chi is equal to this. Okay. So if I do that, what I'm going to get, this chi equation become Na E0 square upon 2 epsilon RT Z plus Z minus my, sorry, I forgot here, hold this constant I called as B. So my chi is now B into I raised to half. I is ionic strength, B is a constant, which is this value 8 pi Na E0 square upon 1000 epsilon kt raised to half. So ln plus or minus now will become substitution value of chi. What I get is basically this equation, B into I raised to half. If I take natural log on both the side, so log gamma plus or minus, now I added 2.3, not 3 here, because I had a natural log, right? So I get this equation. Well, so if I just rearrange whole terms, okay, if I rearrange all the terms, okay, what I get is this equation, that is Na E0 square B 2.303 2 epsilon RT Z plus Z minus raised to I raised to half. Okay. Now I can call this quantity as A. Okay, and if I call it quantity A, what I get is equal to log plus or minus is equal to minus A Z plus Z minus raised into I raised to half, which is a famous Debye-Huckel limiting law. So after taking so long journey, where we reached to this point, unable to determine what is Debye-Huckel limiting law. Okay, now what I will do now,